There is no image that could ever capture the effects, the life-changing effects, the world-changing effects of the life, death, and resurrection of our beloved Jesus. But I offer this simple and, of course, highly inadequate symbol, hoping it might help give us some insight into the incomprehensibly wonderful gift of Jesus and the incredible power of this day. It is simply a door. And to back up, as is true now, at the time of Jesus, there were many people for whom life was really tough, right? Crushing poverty, oppression, heartache. It felt like someone had slammed a door in their faces and locked it from the outside, and they had no key. Now, in Jesus, people found a reason for hope. Jesus helped them believe again that there was reason for joy. And those who had been oppressed or shamed found that they had a dignity, that Jesus saw their dignity. Those with hearts broken or struggling with crippling anxiety in Jesus found hope and peace. Now, while many things on the outside stayed the same, after they met this Jesus who opened for them the door to a whole new way of being, it was this. It was as if, while many other things didn't change, they stepped through to a renewed hope and meaning. Yes, life was still hard, but they had found joy. It was a joy that they could have never imagined. Then the horrific and heartbreaking crucifixion of their beloved Jesus. And it was as if hope itself had been crushed, and everything had again been slammed in their faces. You know, how do you picture them after that? We've got lots of images of the crucifixion in statues and paintings and the stations of the cross. But how do you picture those disciples that first night after they had watched their beloved Jesus be killed? I imagine Peter, who loved Jesus, making his way to the tomb and standing before the stone in front of the tomb and just punching on it and punching on it and punching on it until he collapsed weeping. I don't even really want to imagine Mary, but sometimes I can't help think of what it must have been like for her. She's watching her son and saying, "This is my boy you're killing. That's my beloved son." And she couldn't stop them. And I see Mary unable to sleep after that. And I imagine her just remembering what it was like to hold her infant son and cradle him and sing to him. And then suddenly that image taken away by that horrific image of her son hanging there on the cross dying. And there again, that nauseated, wrenching turning of her stomach. And being unable to sleep, she realizes she's hardly eaten anything for days. So she gets up and takes a bite, but it just makes her cry. How many of the followers of Jesus wondered why they had let themselves get their hopes up? Does evil win in the end? I mean, why care in light of that? So now then, to Easter. What do you think that first Easter looked like? How do you picture that? I don't know. I really don't know what it looked like when Jesus rose from the dead and came forth from the tomb in a resurrected body. I know that somehow the stone had been rolled away and Jesus himself stepped forth alive in this world. I don't know how to picture that, but I don't need to, because I can easily picture what it was like for those first disciples and what Easter looks like for us. From everything I can tell, Easter for those first disciples looked like this. 2 small steps. The women had made their way to the tomb, brokenhearted, not sure what they would find, but they got there and the stone had been rolled away, and they were told that he had been raised from the dead. Go tell the others. And what did that look like for them? 2 steps toward them, choosing to try to believe. And when those disciples got the news, I imagine them going, oh yeah, don't even tell us that. We can't even possibly imagine that to be true. But something stirred in them enough to make those 2 first steps. And then pretty soon the scriptures say they were running towards the tomb to see for themselves. As far as I can tell, Easter always looks like that small step. Easter doesn't bowl anybody over. It doesn't force us to believe. It just comes with the invitation to choose, to trust that love wins, that goodness ultimately triumphs, that it is worth it to love. And then we too take those first few steps again. I can't convince anyone of Easter. I won't even try. I can never prove to anybody that there is a God alive in this world. But I can tell you, the stone has been rolled away, and you and I are free to take those first steps. And for anyone for whom these days are particularly tough, one day you will run again. And sometimes we take those first steps in here until we can start to step. And sometimes we make those first steps until in here and in here catches up with our bodies. Because we all have times when the doors are slammed in our faces. But in the resurrection of Jesus, it is our faith that the doors have been opened, and that changes everything for us. And for those who have the heartache of having buried a loved one, we can trust that they have stepped forth into a life beyond this life. And to anyone here who has been the victim of others' selfish or perhaps horrible choices, I'm so sorry. And I remind you that ultimately, no one or nothing could take away your dignity, and you deserve to go through this world with your head held high. And for each of us, no matter how badly we've messed up, we can start to love again now. We can. And anyone this day who suffers from great anxiety, or deep depression, for whom life feels flat or without joy. It might sometimes be someone helping carry you across the threshold, or at least holding you up as you go. But you can step forward. And one day you will run. You will. It's Easter. And I believe the stone has been rolled away. And I have met that risen Jesus walking among us in the hearts of so many good people. In the goodness I see, he's alive in this world. And for you and I, Easter, it might not change things around us, but it is for us that we step forth in faith, choosing to trust that he is alive in this world and it's worth it to love. For us, Easter looks like this. Blessed Easter.